Hello, fellow gamers. Azael here with another episode of Lane Kingdom. Sometimes the odds are stacked against you. Maybe you're blind picking your top laner. Check. Maybe the other team has a strong early jungler. Check. Maybe the absolute mad lad you're playing against is Huni and he's taking Ignite? Double check. In times like these, building a lane kingdom isn't always about dominating. It's about avoiding hitting your 10 death power spike too early, minimizing loss, and drawing pressure, all while allowing your team to carry you to a sweet, sweet victory. Licorice is playing Aatrox versus Lucian, which is a very rough range versus melee matchup, and will mean he's going to have to be willing to give up a lot early game. He needs to keep his health high by avoiding one-sided trades where his opponent is harassing him while he farms, and forcing Lucian to use spells to get in range while holding his cooldowns to be ready to punish Lucian if he dashes in at a poor time. Remember, with Licorice having TP, he'll have a large advantage later in the game in his ability to play the map, so Huni must get a big advantage early game with his Ignite and Elise helping him to get kills or towers. It's Licorice's job to prevent this from happening. In melee versus range matchups, you have to think of your health as a resource that you can spend to acquire gold or experience. If you spend too much health getting a minion now, you may miss out on many later as a result. Evaluate the cost and value of each attempt before going for it, and always try to stay in range of experience. Licorice does this by playing into the side brush. This means Huni either ignores him and can't harass or deny experience, or he has to spend his ward at the cost of not having river coverage. Instead of always using his Q on minions, Licorice holds the ability to trade back when Huni dashes in, proccing Taste for Blood and preventing a one-sided trade. Huni hits level 2 first while pushing in the wave, and Licorice responds proactively, backing off entirely toward the jungle entrance, both protecting himself from an early potential dive by Elise, as well as guarding Gragas from any invade. When Grig is spotted on the Raptors ward, Licorice knows there's no dive about to happen, and he can collect the wave under his turret, but this comes with a caveat. He needs to be willing to give up dangerous minions to keep his health high. Don't spend too much health prepping minions with auto attacks, and instead, focus on ones you can easily collect with autos or spells, and prioritizing keeping your health high instead of getting every single minion. Licorice's early ward pays off, spotting Grig entering his jungle, then exiting back towards the river. Licorice knows he'll have time to collect the rest of the wave, then go for an early recall, in order to avoid any potential gank by Elise. Since there are no camps available for Grig to farm, Licorice knows that if Elise waits for him to return from base, he's spending a lot of time for little reward, and Blabber will be gaining an advantage on the bot side of the map. Huni stacks the wave to freeze it, making the assumption Licorice may want to teleport directly back to break it, and in doing so, open himself up to a gank. Licorice recognizes this, holds onto his teleport, and walks back to lane. This creates an advantageous situation for Licorice, where even if he's pressured off or killed once returning, he'll still have teleport to avoid losing too much gold and experience. Since Licorice correctly read the situation, and Huni didn't match the base, Licorice now arrives with additional items and a stacked minion wave, which Huni cannot fight into. Licorice wards the river and shoves in the wave, taking advantage of his brief window of opportunity in an otherwise losing matchup. While Lucian is under his turret, he moves to Tribrush to check for wards and Elise, knowing that if he runs into her, he'll be level 5 to level 3 or 4, and be able to fight his way out of that 1v1 while Lucian is still under the turret. This is much better than allowing Elise to wrap behind him and set up a 2v1 play. As the wave bounces back towards Licorice, he again makes the most out of side brush control, dodging in and out to collect CS and stay in range of experience. Elise shows top and is spotted by Licorice's river ward, allowing him time to back off and for Braum to move towards top to stop any potential dive. Knowing they've been spotted, Braum is missing, and Huni hasn't spent his gold, Elise and Lucian decide to back off. As Lucian arrives back to lane with his buy, he wants to fight Aatrox now before he can spend any more of his gold. As Licorice goes in for the cannon minion, Huni takes his chance to all in. He dashes forward, but Licorice, who has saved his spells, locks him up with Infernal Chains into Q3, forcing Huni to flash out in order to avoid it. He then ignites Licorice and hits him with the culling, forcing a defensive flash in response. With Summoners blown, Licorice backs out of vision and fakes his recall. Huni recalls in full vision of the turret, which allows Licorice to cancel this and move forward to grab another much-needed wave. At this point, it's Licorice's 55 CS to Huni's 69. Only down 14 CS without dying and having TP still available, no lane kingdom for you, Huni. Fast forward past some lane swaps, and we'll again see Licorice handling attempted dives like a champ. As the wave is moving to his turret, he moves away from Huni towards where a possible dive could come from, preempting the 2v1 dive by fighting past Elise and using the blast cone to escape, all while managing to use a clever ward to dodge back and forth, wasting more of Lucian Elise's time, and even fitting in a couple of well-earned dance moves. You go, Licorice, break it down. As Anivia and Elise go into fog, Licorice again backs off to prevent any potential dive as his enemies could be at his blue buff. Yes, this costs him some farm, but it keeps him alive and into position to grab CS as the wave thins out. Throughout the game, Licorice faced constant jungle attention, a counter pick, a fiery summoner spell, and little help from his own squad to weather the storm against Dignitas and survive some very tough situations. He kept his health high, took what farm he could, and gave up the minimum, all while going deathless through the lane and keeping his turret alive. What more can you ask for? While there are many different paths Dignitas could have taken, without teleport, I think Huni should have stacked the wave and recalled to match Licorice's base timing, which would have allowed him to utilize a strong early buy and his CS advantage to play from a place of power. Instead, he got stuck in an extended lane where he hadn't spent his gold and could never convert on a big enough advantage. Sure, Licorice could have TP'd back in that situation, but then he's a summoner down with the wave pushing away from him and one gank away from a huge disadvantage. In the end, Licorice's smart play and Dignitas' inability to force dives resulted in denying their main win condition. You can't always be king, but at least don't let your opponent build their own lane kingdom. That's it for this time. Follow me at Azael on Twitter and let me know what you would want to see next time.